Thank you. And with that, you can get started.
Well, awesome. Thank you very much. It is my great pleasure this evening to be with you all. How is the volume? Can you hear okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Seems good.
Great, great. So I am with Tetra Tech. Tetra Tech has been supporting Illinois Department of Natural Resources for a number of years now in action planning and monitoring, and in the last few recent years in helping to develop businesses and support business growth that make use of invasive carps. And this was the kind of the mission that I came in to the project with. And one of those outgrowths has been this rebranding effort, Eat Well, Do Good, rebranding of Asian carp. So without further ado, I will go forward. I expect much of this is familiar territory for everyone. Asian carps were brought to the United States, our own I guess, challenge, our own making. One of the most cultured and consumed fish in the world, and China and Asia originating, but not so wonderful here. And as you know, have grown rampantly throughout the Midwest. In the Illinois River, channeling Kevin Irons with IDNR, and the science around these fish. There's an estimate by the biologists in the region that 20 to 50 million pounds could be removed each year from the Illinois River and be able to go back and do it again. So that's a real broad brush number, but I know you all, this audience is well educated on the challenge that these fish present. So I won't linger too much longer here. And in relation to the biomass significance and the potential for damage to the Great Lakes, as well as Great Lakes, as well as the damage that is already being done to the outdoor and recreational industry. So where did this notion to rebrand these fish come from? Why this as a support? When I came in with some work with IDNR at the very outset, we suggested, and IDNR thought it made a lot of sense to do kind of simple analysis, a simple report. Really look at the sticking points of why more business is not springing up over these really, quite available raw resource. Kind of what are the sticking points around that business development, and what might be the ways that we could remove those sticking points. So we did this business process analysis, and one of the findings, or 7 or 8 different areas that we addressed. Well, one of the findings really focused on the negative connotation of the fish, and we really heard this from businesses, processors, telling us that there's quite a significant amount of press and knowledge around these fish, but it's so negative, it's hard for us to sell our products. And everyone knows the malign nature, the trash fish, the horrible invaders, and they are very damaging fish. But this was the seed of trying to turn a lemonade from lemons, make a positive, as a way to solve or help to solve a really dire ecological problem. So try and create a new image, a new look around these fish that would encourage people to buy them and want to eat them because they are terrific fish. So this presentation will depart quite significantly from the science and the good data that the speaker who follows me, as well as the two who preceded me. So indulge me here for a moment. It'll be a fun ride. With the result of this business process analysis, we did take a focus on rebranding and remarketing. How could we do this to these fish? We worked with a team, Span Studio, that kind of squiggle in the upper left, the Span Studio, M. Harris and Company, Daylight, all led by IDNR and under Tetra Tech's leadership. These were folks that we're still all working together. Not only knew branding, rebranding, and marketing, but branding, rebranding, and marketing in culinary and food-related space. So these folks were just terrific to work with, all Illinois-based, which was a good thing for the state. What did we set them to doing? We asked them to take a look at these fish from a human consumption standpoint. Why? Because we had a notion that the greatest attributes could be brought out from a human consumption standpoint around these fish, and that they'd be applicable in a wide variety of other kinds of products, fertilizer and pet foods and such. But starting with something that may be a little more high volume, even still, like say fertilizer, the qualities of these fish wouldn't necessarily translate up to other markets like pet foods and human consumption. So started at the human consumption side. We asked them to look at a few chief things: other successful renaming efforts, consumption trends and preferences, and how do those consumption trends and preferences match up against the positive attributes of Asian carp. At that time, they were called Asian carp. So you've heard us probably speak about other successful efforts like the slime heads. Thank you, U.S. National Marine Fisheries Service, for such an accurate and unappetizing name that enterprising distributors and fishmongers recoined as orange roughy and spiked a 19 million pound per year demand. As an aside, these fish, beautiful eating, have been put on the Monterey Bay Aquarium Seafood Watch avoid list because of how they are fished and how damaging they are to deep sea corals. But the take home point being what a difference a name can make in a 19 million pound per year spike in demand. Similarly, the Patagonian toothfish, maybe not such a bad name, but isn't Chilean sea bass so much better? Again, late 1970s, renaming effort by a merchant named Lee Lance. These fish, as you may know, they are not bass, they're actually cod. Most are not caught off of the coast of Chile, but there you have it, a great name. And again, the same condition has occurred where they're really being, their stores are being fished down so badly that they are, again, on the Monterey Bay Aquarium Seafood Watch avoid list. But take home points of how to how a name can really make quite a difference. So then we asked the team, really took a deep dive into demographics. What are the buying trends and preferences of the major demographics that are making food buying decisions for themselves and their families? Those, kind of cohorts, those groups were the millennials, boomers, and Gen Xers. Those groups from 25 to 74 that are making the majority of their food decisions for themselves and families. And together, those populations, you can see there, Gen Xers at 65.2, millennials at 72.1. These numbers add up to about 3/5 of the US population. So really big brushes here in terms of demographic reach. What did we find? There was a wide variety of interesting findings, but one here is that about half among each of the groups, a little more, a little less between boomers, Gen X, etc. But about half overall stated that they eat healthy foods more than half the time. And that told us that these are more health-oriented eaters. This next slide, I know, has a lot of words on it here. I won't expect you to read through everything. I will summarize. What we really found among this group, or these three groups, this is kind of typified for millennials here from this quote from a particular book, but it really runs across all of the demographic groups. That these that the trends and preferences that began as maybe a little more fads have really become a value system that's driving cultural and food purchase behavior. So those aspects are that buyers really look more towards and appreciate more foods that have a stronger connection to corporate responsibility, that have kind of a higher purpose. Of course, this locally grown, wild caught are strong trends, but as well understanding where food is coming from, and even the story behind that food, and the powerful ideas that may be associated with it. So some really sort of deeper preferences here. No longer the value buyer looking, shopping solely for price. These are consumers that have higher values and are as well willing to pay more for quality food. Another interesting factoid here among our surveys and focus groups, we found that 85% of the folks that we were speaking with had heard of Asian carp. Again, the common phrase in the market is, and the most known phrase among consumers is Asian carp. But about 5% had only ever tried it and eaten it. So another light bulb there. Maybe some opportunity here. So some pivotal insights around these demographic groups are that these are more engaged fish and seafood consumers. They're curious and excited about new species. They are more food aware. They are more future oriented, and they prioritize health, sustainability as a high level. Not that invasive carps are in any way, shape, or form aimed to be sustained, but the notion of sustainability as eating an invasive species is a sustainable practice, and ecological benefits. And then that bottom line, taste, quality in their foods. So this eat well, do good really kind of typifies that sentiment and that group of findings there. And so then we turn to, okay, so how about our fish? How do they measure up? spoiler alert, really well, really well. Asian carps, invasive carps, they are responsible. They are wild caught. They are on the Monterey Bay Aquarium Seafood Watch good choice list, precisely because eating an invasive species is a good practice to contribute to their removal and control. Locally sourced, responsibly sourced are important here. And the many aspects of doing good by eating these fish, from the dire ecological problem that consumers can contribute to solving, to as well helping small-scale local fishermen, bringing back traditional industry in the Midwest, which has been in decline for decades. And even in pandemic conditions, growing that we learned so much about with supply chain challenges, buying in the regional food hub and developing the regional food hub and the importance of that. As well, that bottom line, and how are they to eat? They're wonderful. Beautiful white flaky flesh. They are mild flavored. If you haven't had them, I can tell you where you can get them, and right here in this region where you are locally, you can even get them online. Because of that mild flavor, they're really versatile in cooking. They take on a range of seasonings very readily, and these are literally dishes that are made with invasive carp. This is Carter's Fish Market down here. That's his tartar sauce, but his boom boom sauce is to die for. These are dumplings stuffed with invasive carp, and this was a competition among chefs several years ago. So that's a fillet in there. Not easy to do, but there you have it. And then as well, these are really healthy fish. They are very good sources of protein, second only to wild-caught salmon. They are very low in contaminants. Thank you to Southern Illinois University here for our chart. These are all fish that are below FDA limits for metals, but here we're looking at mercury. There's our buddy, the orange roughy, and canned tuna, which has had some challenge over the years in having heavier metals. And there on the left, look at the silver and the big head numbers. They are just bottom basement in terms of that contaminant. They're also high in omega-3s and 6s, so nice, heart healthy. These fish are just terrific. So with this information, our team went through an extensive name generation process, and then a winnowing down of those names. And as you know, but with a little bit of drama, our new name is copi. So lots of fun here. Copi being short for copious, meaning abundant. Lots of great ways that we can talk about the abundance of this fish, not only in number, but in deliciousness and richness in protein and omega-3s. Copi, great mouthful as a name goes. That sort of hard C at the beginning, the short I at the end. Gives a little bit of fun, but also a little sophistication. So much better to say, copi burger or copi sliders, copi tacos than Asian carp tacos or Asian carp burgers, which is what the market would say. So a figurative, wonderful little mouthful, and as well a wonderful little mouthful, literally. With this new name and logo, we've also created a brand strategy, a sort of a toolkit with communication guidelines, how to speak about the fish. These attributes that I laid out in the previous slides. We've created some collateral, meaning some documents and one pager and communications components to really help this this group, these various groups of people communicate about the new fish. So the processors, retailers, chefs, etc. We also went about creating a website that is choosecopi.com. That's the front landing page of the website. Go visit it. It's beautiful. It is consumer oriented, trying to drive people to supermarkets and restaurants where they can buy copi, learn about it, and find out how to help contribute to a challenging ecological problem. One of the things that we did along with the launch of this name was we worked very extensively with processors, fishers, distributors, and restaurants and chefs, who some of whom were wonderful spokespeople for us and continue to be, to really prepare the market for growth. So not only would there be a wonderful announcement that that gained notoriety and gained attention, but then there would be a supply chain to help meet that demand. So here are a few images. These actually are copi tacos. They were served, there's about 4,000 of those served at the Illinois State Fair this year. So this is some of the collateral that we created as well. These papers, these wax papers. These are sort of mock-ups of packaging to help processors think about how to label their products and place them in supermarkets and other retail locations. Lots of good stuff here. This is actually social media, a clip from a social media ad. We did advertising as well as continued social media posting on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Here's our poster, Save Our Lakes. We've actually added a QR code to this that drives folks to the website. So what we did, only a few more slides. We launched the copi name on June 22nd of this year. We planned for a virtual launch, which was great. We really couldn't plan for what would happen in COVID conditions. You know, the planning and design had to be so far out. So we did a virtual launch and it was terrific. It really was terrific. Over 700 viewers. There on the screen is the video that is the launch event. So you can find it on YouTube. And it's if you go there, it's about 20 minutes of launch content and another 20 of Q&A. So it won't take you the full 40 minutes to take a look, but it's it's worth a look. The video is beautiful. I mentioned the website and social media advertising and posting. Again, attempting to drive people to places where they can buy it in stores and get it on menus. The media attention that was received around this launch event was really quite astounding. I am not exaggerating to say that we had national news coverage and even international news coverage, with Associated Press receiving an exclusive. Associated Press means, you know, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of news outlets pick up a story. Major media outlets such as the Washington Post, of course, Chicago Tribune and Sun-Times, Indianapolis Star. Some major magazines also picked up The Economist magazine. It was in both the print and the online version, and that has a readership of 25 million people. You can see here on the right, our news, our radio and television, but WNYC is a highlight, picked up on Science Friday, and it was on Inside Edition as well. So just so pleased. Other results, you know, it's great to have a fun event. It's great to have a fun, you know, beautiful logo created and to promote it around the country. But how is that actually helping removal? And this is where we're really seeing some traction. We have had calls and outreach to us from distributors, national level distributors, supermarket chains, several private labels. That means, you know, I want to use your product and create a label just for my business kind of initiatives. Food service, which really you start to get into very large volumes, institutional buyers such as universities. And yes, we do have that online sales, Market Wagon. I'll give them a plug. Go to Market Wagon. It's available in this area where you are. So go buy your copi and cook it for dinner tomorrow night, and in restaurants. And at the time of the launch, we had nine states were had copi available. Of course, Illinois, Missouri, Michigan, you can see the states they're up there, even out to California and Arizona. So really good stuff there. What we anticipate and what we are working towards is growing the number of establishments that are buying and selling, making available to the public. In a 3-year period, we're kind of swinging for the fences and trying to get into 1,000 different locations. In terms of commercial fishing markets, that needs to develop to meet this demand and grow with it. So within some of the programs that we help to administer through IDNR, we have about 30 fishers under contract, and we hope to grow that to about 50 or so within the next year, and up to about 80 in over a 3-year period. And then in terms of removal, right now we are, again, for programs that we are administering with IDNR and in multiple states as well. Among these programs only, we have already exceeded 10 million pounds of removal. Now that's since we've started these programs, and since the launch, it's been over 2 million and counting since the launch. So those are the real take-home points, and that is the whole point of the initiative. So that concludes our presentation. And if there are any questions, if there's time for them, I'm happy to take them.